What's going on, you guys? Today we're going to be learning Misery Business by Paramore. This is one of the quintessential pop punk songs, and if you know me, then you know that I love pop punk music. It's just one of my favorite genres. It's great, and so is this song. You might find that Misery Business in particular is a bit more involved than you might think, so
viewer discretion is advised.
Just real quick before we get into it, I wanted to mention that at the end of this video or down in the description box, I will be linking to a guitar playthrough or cover of this song so that you can play along with me, but also grasp how we transition between section to section throughout the song. That video should be out within this week, but if it is not yet, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you're notified when it does come out. Enough said, let's get into it. You are watching Logan's Lessons. Before we do anything, we have to talk about tuning. This song is tuned to drop C sharp. If you know what that means, go ahead and skip forward to the next section, but if you don't, I'm going to show you how to tune your guitar to drop C sharp. The low E string, as we call it, will now be 1.5 steps lower. When you play this string, your tuner should say C sharp rather than the normal E. That's the lowest string. Moving on, all of the strings below this point, the A, D, G, B, and high E strings, are just a half a step down. So the second string from your face should be a G sharp. Then we have a C sharp, an F sharp, an A sharp, and finally a D sharp. Once you have your guitar tuned properly, I want you to go back through them all and make sure that, number one, they are tuned to the correct note, and two, that they have stayed on that note. When you make a drastic tuning change like this, what usually happens is your strings get looser and your guitar is used to higher tension. And so it'll want to go back closer to where it came from, so it'll tune back up higher, really. But you just want to make sure that none of the notes are out of key. Great, now that you have that sucker tuned up, let's hit that main riff. The main riff of this song starts with your ring finger on the 12th fret of your A string. You play it down, up, up. Do that with me. Right after that, we move so that our first finger is on the 9th fret of our D string, and we will hover our ring finger over the 11th fret of our D string. You'll play 9th, 11th, 9th, 11th. So the first ending to this motif is on the 11th fret of your A string, and you play it down, up, down, up. So we have the second time through, the only thing that changes is that last note. Rather than playing the 11th fret of your A string, you will instead play the 9th fret of your A. So we have if I do that slowly, play that with me. Good. Faster now. One more time. Then right there you go back to the first time of the riff, so i.e. you go back to ending on the 11th fret. So far we have but right here it changes. Instead of playing a singular note, we walk up this scale. We will do this by hammering on from 7 to 9 on our A string, then 7 to 9 on the D string, then on the G we reach up and we hit the 6th fret and we slide up to the 9th. And then you hit that 9th again. So we have, and you give that last 9th a little bit of vibrato. So that 4th time through the riff will sound like this. I'll do that again. So if I do the whole thing slowly, we go. Okay, so that is the main riff. Now let's learn the verse. The verse has two parts to it. It has the rhythm and the lead. Now my personal preference and what I would encourage you to do, unless you're playing with another guitar player, is to play the rhythm for the first half of the verse and play for the second half when the lead comes in, the lead guitar part. Starting with the rhythm, we are going to bar the 4th fret of our E and A strings with our ring finger. You will play that downwards twice, pause for a split second, and then a down strum once more. Then, similarly to the intro, we go from 2 to 4 on our A string, twice, with our first finger on the 2nd fret and our ring finger on the 4th. So you get... Then it does the exact same thing, except you use your first finger on the 2nd fret, rather than your ring finger on the 4th. So the whole thing being... And that repeats. After playing through that twice, we get to the second half of the verse, which is where I like to play the lead line. We will start on the 7th fret of our B string. The picking pattern for this is 2 down picks, and then a triplet down, up, down. I'll play that slowly. Play it with me. Faster. Full speed. Again. Okay, right after that, we play the 5th fret of our high E string. Back to the 7th fret of our B. And finally, the 5th fret of our high E once more. So, if I play that slowly, do it with me. Faster. Okay, so that happens 3 times. On the 4th time, we have the same motif, but here it changes. Rather than going back and forth between the 7th fret of your B string and the 5th fret of your high E, we play the open E string 3 times. The 4th line will sound like this. Now if I play the whole riff, now that whole thing is played twice, but the second time through, instead of playing this, you instead go up to the 7th fret of your high E string, play that down picked twice, and then you hit it once more, but this time you slide up to the 9th fret. And then you hit the 9th fret one more time like that. So the whole thing being... Tremendous work. That is the verse. Now, moving on from there, we have the pre-chorus, if you want to call it that. It's more of a transition, really. You'll start by barring the top 3 strings on the 4th fret. All of this will be downstrummed and palm muted. You will strum 8 times. And then you're going to slide down to the 2nd fret, where you will downstrum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have... That drops us into the chorus. We are going to chunk this chorus up into a part A and a part B. The first chord of part A starts with your first finger on the 4th fret of your D string. And then your pinky is going to be on the 7th fret of your B. You will let your E and A string ring out as well. The strumming pattern will be a down, 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 up, down, up. That stays consistent for every chord in part A of this chorus. The second chord we have is an E major chord shape with your middle finger on the 7th fret of your A string. Your ring finger will be on the 7th fret of your D string. And your first finger will be on the 6th fret of your G. You will only play those 3 strings. Moving on, our third chord starts by barring the E and the A string on the 2nd fret with your index finger. Then you'll use your pinky finger, and no, you should not use your 3rd finger. I know what you're thinking, but all will become clear in due time. So you should have your pinky finger on the 4th fret of your D string. That is the third chord. So far, Then the next two chords split a measure, simply meaning that the first chord will get 2 downs and the second chord will get a down, up, down, up. For the fourth chord, we just have to slide our previous shape up 2 frets so that our first finger is on the 4th fret, barring the E and the A strings. Then we're going to extend our pinky out 1 more fret to the 7th fret of our D. And finally, we have only one other adjustment, and that is our ring finger being on the 6th fret of our G string. You get... And then the final chord is just a carbon copy of the 3rd chord, just slid up 2 frets. So we have... I will play through part A of the chorus. Play it with me. Okay, so that happens twice and we are into part B of the chorus. Part B exclusively uses unison shapes. To show you the unison shape, I will demonstrate by teaching you the first placement of said unison shape. You'll put your first finger on the 9th fret of your A string, and your 3rd finger is going to be on the 11th fret of your G. You will do 6 staccato down strums on that. Then you hit down 1 more time and you slide it up so that your first finger is on the 12th fret. And then you do an up, down, up on the 12th fret. So, and then you go to the 11th fret. Do the same thing you did with the 9th fret, just starting on the 11th fret. And you slide up to the 12th fret too. You don't slide up further. Like that. So the whole part B of the pre-chorus sounds like this. Do that with me. That gets us into the main riff. The main riff after the second chorus does receive a modification. Instead of ending the whole riff like this, we just go back to the 9th fret. Now we do something slightly different. We hit it twice, and then we do the little triplet thing. Not unlike the... So the whole main riff after the second chorus will sound like this. That drops us back into the second verse, which is the same as the first verse, then the pre-chorus, which is also identical to the previous pre-chorus, and another chorus, which is also identical to the previous chorus. But after all of that, we go into a bridge where things do change. We're starting with our middle finger on the 12th fret of our A string, and then our pinky on the 14th fret of our D. Then down here, we're going to put our first finger on the 11th fret of our D. And the picking will go from the A string to the D string, and then our pinky will lift off and we hit the D string again. That's the first little thing. After that, instead of lifting our pinky off and hitting the D string again, what we do is we hit the B string. So we have... And then that last thing happens one more time. So... And that repeats a number of times, and we get into a solo. The solo starts with unisons that will harken back to like part B of the chorus. Starting on the 7th fret, you're going to strum that once, and then we're going to go slide up to the 9th fret and strum the 9th fret 7 times. That whole little thing happens 3 times. Then right here it changes a little bit and we do a unison on the 12th fret of our D string. Now to do unisons on our D string, we use a slightly different shape. We're going to put our first finger on the 12th fret of our D string, and then we're going to use our pinky on the 15th fret. So you notice there's an extra fret in between them. And then we just slide that down a fret for the second chord. And we'll play that. So the first part of the solo, the part of the solo that involves unisons, will sound like this. That happens twice. And then we are into what I would consider part B of the solo. We're going to start that by placing your first finger on the 12th fret of your high E string. You're going to play this note 8 times. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Then we're going to the 15th fret of our B string. 8 times again. Then the 14th fret of our B string. 8 times once again, and then 12th fret of our B string. 8 times again. So you go back up to the 12th fret, then up to the 14th fret, then the 17th fret. That one only happens 4 times. Then up to the 19th fret, which you only hit twice. Then to the 21st fret, which you hit twice. And then last note, the 16th fret of our high E string, which we are going to bend up like this, which is up and then back down. So the whole part B of the solo sounds like this. If I play the whole solo for you. And that gets us into the final chorus. The final chorus doesn't change, and then we're into the last main riff, which is the same as the main riff after the second chorus, ending on. And that is how you play Misery Business. If you have a song request, please comment it. If you wish to be notified when that playthrough comes out, hit the bell. I sincerely hope you are well. Do me a favor and hit that like button blue. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe too. I hope this video has been a blessing. You've been watching Logan's Lessons.